At a time when every dollar counts, Capital Ford in Santa Fe is stepping up and offering employee pricing for everyone. Yes, employee pricing for everyone is now available on new Fords. You pay what Ford employees pay. Employee pricing means save up to $9,000 off MSRP on a new 25 Ford F-150 or save up to $4,800 off, plus 3.9% APR on a new 24 Ford Bronco. From America, for America. We're Capital Ford in Santa Fe. At a
Ladies and gentlemen, from La Casa de los Lobos, the pit, here at the University of New Mexico, let's get ready to rumble!
Gotta hit you with the triple hey. Hey, how's it going? My name is Ryan Tamori. Welcome to another fabulous episode of the Pit Press Live. I want to apologize for canceling last Thursday to those that normally tune in. Was a little under the weather and I ate something bad and did it hit like a ton of bricks. So I apologize. Hoping to have Nate Strong on again. Tanner Montaño later tonight. Who we were originally supposed to have on track and field, stud at La Cueva, and Gary Herron. Gary Herron will be joining us Thursday night to talk some baseball. I'm Ryan Tamori, forgot my name, joined by Ed Nunez. I'm still feeling repercussions of it. He's a Lobo fan since 1970 and the voice of the Western New Mexico Mustangs. I know you've had computer trouble, so it's been fun all around. Ed, how you doing?
Yeah, we've still had them. We got the computer back yesterday, and then tried to power it back up today, and still have issues. So I'm using my wife's iPad. So no, I'm doing great, and Two great guests. I got to tell you about Tanner Montaño real quick. He jumped 24 feet 3 1/4 inches in the long jump, tying a record that had been held since 1970, 55 years. So I'm really looking forward to talking to him. That's quite a feat. It really is, and I just can't believe that record has lasted that long. So, and just a tremendous young man.
And a Highland record, right?
Highland record. Highland's David Podrell, and I'm the chairperson of the Highland Hall of Fame. He just made our Hall of Fame last summer. David Podrell, a great football player as well, and so there's reasons why that I went to the guru of track, Gary Sanchez, who coached Highland track, and he's in the New Mexico Sports Hall of Fame, and also in our Highland Hall of Fame, about what his thoughts, why that record lasted so long. And I've got some notes that I'll share with him and Tanner when Tanner comes on. So I'm really looking forward to talking to him. And he's only a junior. He's also a heck of a wide receiver on the Cuevas football team. And I'm sure that running track helps him in and out of breaks, explode, so many different things. He's quite the athlete. And I think, I'm not sure where it's all going to end up for him, if he's going to run track or play football in college, but he's got a future somewhere for sure.
Definitely probably run in track is what I would say. I'm still out of it. I'm sorry. I did a terrible job of hosting the show, but Ed, thanks for joining tonight, and thanks for everything you do with booking. We kind of tag team on those guests there, so thank you. Just some house cleaning before Rob Portnoy, voice of the Lobos, joins us at 8. I forget. I failed to mention that. I'm trying to bring up some energy. And then 8:30, Tanner Montaño. So I'm excited for that. I wanted to get Rob's thoughts on the season that was in UNM athletics. Quite a feat. Let me go to the big board or the slideshow. Let me get that. Again, been busy, but it's been a slow time of year. Do you think Lobo Athletics? Think again, the Pit Press Plus, your all access pass to the heart and the hustle of the University of New Mexico Athletic Department. With a monthly or yearly subscription, you'll unlock behind the scenes stories you won't hear anywhere else. Whether you're a diehard fan or a stats junkie, or just here for the spicy locker room gossip, the Pit Press Plus has something for you. Subscribe today. Support local sports journalism. And when I say that, I mean everybody, journal included. And remember, real Lobos don't settle for the sidelines. $2 a month or $25 for the entire year. All Lobo, no filter. Again, there's that. And introducing this, which is probably the big stink of the night. Very happy to announce Together We Howl. It's an exciting new collaboration with 505 Sports Venture Foundation, Kurt Roth, Mackenzie Bishop over there. They've teamed up with us, the Pit Press, on a virtual summer series lined up of live streams and podcasts centered around UNM athletics. The series will feature interviews and coaches and student athletes, highlight community involvement, and provide viewers with an inside look at who they are on and off the field, as well as why NIL is an essential part of their experience. Our first guest, we're starting this next Wednesday, June 4th, is Bo Davidson. We've had him on the show. We're happy to collaborate with him again. He's general manager of the UNM football team. Topics will center around football scouting and the importance of NIL. Stronger together, louder forever. That's Together We Howl. I'm excited for this collaboration. I'm usually, along with my friend Isaac Avalusea, we're the antichrists at the Daily Lobo. I'm still trying to do this objectively, but I think, like I said, I've had a resurgence. Still going to give my opinion to those that have watched the show for the last 2.5 going on 3 years of us doing this. I'm looking forward to it. So Ed, any way we can get you involved, I know we're happy to have you and Nick. I know Nick has taken a new position within his where he works. He's a lawyer, much smarter than I. I'm always happy to have Nick on. I know he's busy. We're all dads here. So understood there. Before we move any further, and it looks like our guest is lined up, and I don't want to have him waste any more or have him wait any longer. Just very quickly, the Lobos notched 6 Mountain West championships this year, 5 conference tournaments, and then the men's basketball team with the regular season. It was a championship takeover. The University of New Mexico dominated the competition with 6 titles: men's cross country, women's indoor track and field, men's basketball, men's tennis, and women's outdoor track and field. The men's basketball championship obviously was the only regular season championship, and the other 5 were tournaments. I mentioned that. Men's basketball team, again, under former head coach Richard Pitino, finished with a 27-8 record and secured its first NCAA tournament win since 2022. Ed, very quickly, your thoughts on that before we get to our first guest tonight.
You know what? Again, that's some great stuff for UNM. We tend to concentrate mostly on football and basketball and baseball, but they have won Mountain West Conference championships in other sports. They've also achieved a high GPA. Their track and field team has done well, and I think it's important that we note that and understand that UNM has champions in other sports as well, besides the 3 main ones.
I thought it was pretty impressive that it was 6. I woke up to that news today and I was quite astonished. I was pulling for baseball, and I always mention my love for Ray Birmingham, not Todd Brown, any different, but Fresno State winning that, and then the baseball tournament, NCAA tournament, which I'll pay more attention to, announced yesterday on Memorial Day. All right, anyway, we're going to head to our first guest, and I'm happy to have him on. It's been a long time coming. And let me fix that. He is Lobos since 2013. And he is from the Lobo Radio Network. I don't think he needs any introduction. His name is Mr. Rob Portnoy. Rob, how are you doing tonight?
It's great to be with you guys. Ed, how are you? Ryan, how are you? Thanks for having me. This is a treat.
I think it's quite a good segue, because when I ran into you at baseball, Ed and I had been talking about booking guests, and it was like, well, it was quite the year in athletics. You see that 6 conference championships, most of the Mountain West. How would you have? I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
It just tells me that if the Pac-12 was looking for the crust of the conference, they missed the boat. I mean, let's be honest, right? The Lobos are definitely the cream of the crop. You see it year in and year out. I think there's such a hard lean toward football that other things seem to go by the wayside a little bit. And, we've heard coaches in the Cherry and Silver talk about this here over the last 24 months, how decisions are being made for football that are to the detriment of the other sports in college athletics. And there is an opportunity. Coach Eck has talked about this, Ryan. There's an opportunity now with the defection of those 5 schools for somebody to become the Lord of the New Mountain West starting in the fall of 2026. Why not New Mexico?
I think a lot of people have that feeling. You're a Stanford grad. My family's from New Jersey. Volleyball between the University of Miami and Stanford and UCLA and Rutgers doesn't bode well. Ed will give me shit once again. I'm still on the south side of 40, not by much anymore. But my Pac-12, at least my age, is ASU, U of A. I mean, when I think of Pac-12 basketball, I think of UCLA. I think of Pac-12, Pac-10 football. Should say that correctly. Pac-10. I think of USC and I think of Washington, and I love history, so that's what I think of. But I don't know. It boggles my mind because that deep rivalry of Stanford and or Cal and NC State volleyball is just out there. Today is Fernando Lobo's. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I just a piece of my background that maybe Lobo fans haven't heard before regarding the Pac-12 and the just profound sadness that I felt over the breakup of that conference, and now the anger toward the remaining 2 for pilfering 5 out of our league. When I was really little, we lived in Southern California, Palm Springs area. I fell in love with the USC Trojans. At that time, it was Charlie White and Ricky Bell. And I'm dating myself with these references, but those Trojan teams were unbelievable. And when I moved to Phoenix, Arizona at age 11, it happened to coincide in 1978 with the year that the Pac-8 became the Pac-10, and the aforementioned Arizona State and Arizona schools joined the league. That was the Frank Kush era of Arizona State football. And the first game that I saw in Sun Devil Stadium was an unbeaten, second-ranked USC team coming into Tempe and playing ASU. More than 70,000. Arizona State beat them that day. It was the loudest venue I'd ever been in my life at age 11. And so my roots with the Pac-12 go much deeper than just my alma mater, Stanford. And it broke my heart when that league broke up. And the reality of the USC UCLA defection to the Big Ten being the first domino that fell was extremely painful for me as a college athletics fan, as a college football, college basketball, college baseball, college athletics fan. It just crushed me. So, when the Lobos pounded Washington State in baseball just a short while ago, it warmed my heart. I mean, all that love that I had, now I acknowledge that they're the ones that helped lead to the changes in the Mountain West that we knew and love. And so every time we beat them, I'm going to celebrate.
Again, my alma mater is the University of New Mexico. My cousin, undergrad, graduate, PhD at St. John's. My dad went to Rutgers, family went to Rutgers. My dad went to Fairleigh Dickinson, so I still celebrate Purdue in this house, the Purdue game. But I loved, and my friend from St. Pius, my buddy Tim, went to Seton Hall. So I love the Big East. I don't have that deep eye that you have as a Stanford alumni. But man, I don't think of Creighton, and still to this day, Creighton and Butler are playing in Madison Square Garden at the beginning of March. It just still irks. Like, there's a part of me, I didn't even go to those schools, and it just part of me dies. So I appreciate that insight, Rob.
Well, it is something that I'm really passionate about, obviously, and to be in the industry and to enjoy it the way that I do, and now live it for nearly 20 years here in Albuquerque, to see first the University of New Mexico as a fan, and then get a chance to move across the street and become the voice of the Lobos and see the passion up close. 13 years running now, and it has just been unbelievable.
And we'll get into basketball. I'll let Ed throw some basketball questions out. But before that, any kind of relationship with Fernando Lobo, and happy birthday to Fernando Lobo. I'm slightly older than him, but I think I'm always the negative Nelly, but I think this new regime, shouldn't say regime, this new collective, and I know Ryan Berryman, I know Nate Strong, Eric, my business partner, knows Jalen Dominguez. So it's like a fresher breath air for me. But what has impressed you about Fernando Lobo thus far? And what kind of relationship do you guys have? Obviously, I know that's really not your aspect, but what kind of relationship do you guys have?
Well, that's the amazing part about Fernando Lobo, is that we all have a relationship with him. And that has been something that he has made a point of since he arrived on campus. And the thing that stands out most for me about him is the fresh ideas and the fresh perspective and the incredible acumen that comes with his background that he brings to Albuquerque and University of New Mexico. And you mentioned a couple of people there at the top in terms of the administration of Lobo Athletics. And I'll throw in another new one who's going to be here in Albuquerque very soon, in Casey Byers. He's going to be another athletic director with a background in creative. And I think that word there is important. Fernando is a different generation. And the reality of what we have done up to this point at the University of New Mexico, and as it relates to it, it's going to come back to this, because this is the piece, right? This is the piece to the puzzle. When the next round of expansion comes, or the next round of realignment comes, whatever you want for your University of New Mexico Lobos, they are better positioned for that if football succeeds. And sustained success in football in Albuquerque has been tough. We know that. And we can acknowledge that some of the things that we've done up to this point, we think that they would work. They haven't worked yet. And to have all of this new blood here at the University of New Mexico, bringing their perspective from P4 schools to Albuquerque, and those ideas and the young ideas that understand the importance of creative, that understand the importance of social media. These are things that are absolutely at the forefront of any athletic program moving forward here in 21st century. So I'm really excited. I think the breath of fresh air that you mentioned, it is more than that. It's like oxygen has been breathed into the University of New Mexico Athletic Department, and I cannot wait for the fall, Ryan.
That makes two of us. I'm making the trek not just to Michigan. I'm making the trek to all the away football games.
College football, baby.
No. You thank you very much. I know it's not the Rose Bowl game, but that is like my mom back in my mother.
The ultimate venue.
Yeah, she went and saw a Rose Bowl game, Washington, Michigan, January 1st. 1993. I think it was Mark Brunell, maybe Elvis Gerback. I get it, and I make this joke on the show. I get it from my mama, and I kept all these tickets throughout the years, and I found it. And she was there with her friend who lived in Seattle. They went to the Rose Bowl, and the ticket says $50, and it was right on the 50-yard line. I've got to get her back to a Rose Bowl game. But long story short, I am so excited. I honestly. And if anybody's from Michigan's watching, I'm like, to hell with the big house. I am so excited to go to the Rose Bowl.
Both of those places have so much history. And I'm lucky to say that I've been to a couple of Rose Bowls as a fan. The idea that I'm going to the big house to sit in a booth and call a college football game. I'm going to the Rose Bowl to sit in a booth and call a college football game. These things are literally dreams of mine from when I was a young child. And you could probably go back and find some audio cassette that my buddies and I, with a recorder in front of us, mocked up some game that involved, USC at the Coliseum or UCLA at the Rose Bowl or Michigan at the Big House, or maybe two of those schools in the Rose Bowl with our favorite players all moshed up into this one big pit. And we had so much fun. It's out there somewhere. I hope it never makes the air.
There, trust me, I talked about it on the show. There was something I wrote for the Daily Lobo like 15, 16 years ago. And I definitely don't want it out there, but no, that's cool. I'm looking forward to this football season. I will ask you about that because I come from the Mike Loxley days and what happened last year, which I thought was exciting. And I love Jason Eck. I will save that. I'm going to throw it over to Ed. He's got a couple questions about basketball.
Rob, one of the things I got to say this before we get to that, you mentioned, the Charles White, Ricky Bell, student body left, student body right, J.K. McKay, John McKay, Pat Hayden. I remember those games, man. I used to watch a lot of those. Those are you bring in the Coliseum. Ricky Bell, Ronnie Lott, Junior Seau. USC, I think people forget. You brought back that memory. Man, that was a powerhouse team. It really was. The late John Robinson being one of their coaches as well. And, you also mentioned the new team at UNM. They turned it around quick. All due respect to Dave Williams and Eddie Nunez. Now they've got Amy Bagan and Ryan Berryman. You mentioned young ideas, young people, a fresh pair of eyes on the whole program who are coming in with their ideas. And I think it's exciting. Rob, UNM has had excellent success last 3 seasons in men's basketball, winning 23 years in a row, winning a conference tournament, and then winning the regular season tournament. And for Lobo fans, and I've been one since '70, it doesn't get any better than that. People, they've had great success. Now, you've covered the team since 2013. Did it surprise you in any way that Richard Pitino decided to leave for Xavier?
No, and I'll tell you why. First of all, proximity to his family, proximity to the part of the country that he knows best, that his family knows best. And then the reality of the Big East. And while it used to be the P5 in football, it used to be the P6 in basketball. Really, it's now P4 football. I would still say it's P5 in basketball because of the Big East, right? I mean, Ryan knows that really well, and the opportunity there with the investment in a basketball program where there is no football to worry about, that helps in every way, especially in today's game with NIL, right? It made sense in so many ways for him. He had accomplished so much here. He's back in a league where his father is now. I mean, it's an unbelievable opportunity for him. And, you know, I've heard a lot of fans express their disappointment, and I totally understand it. Like, I get it. It's like your heart gets ripped out. Something just started, right? Year 4, back-to-back seasons where you make the NCAA tournament. You mentioned it, the tournament title, the regular season title, and you want that coach to want to stay and build on that. But he's making a ton more money at Xavier than he was making here. Even the best offer that we could make him here was not going to match that. The NIL budget there is not something that the Lobos could match. And the Big East in basketball is really tough to beat. All those reasons, I just want fans to know, and I hope that they can see that it was really awesome to have a coach of Richard Pitino's caliber in Albuquerque and at New Mexico for 4 years. Mm-hmm. He could have left sooner. He had offers, and he didn't, and he stayed, and he did exactly what he said he was going to do, and that's turn the program around and bring trophies back to Albuquerque in back-to-back years. We have to thank him and wish him well and use the position the program is in now to build on that success with Coach Olin and our collective 505 SVF. I think we could do that.
To your point, I think with Coach Pitino, Coach King's always going to be number one, the architect of Lobo basketball. You can argue, and people will, Steve Alford number 2. For me, Norm Ellenberger will always be number 3. But Coach Pitino's in there too. You know, Coach Bliss kind of eliminates himself. People don't want to remember that he did probably have some good teams that do a good job here. The aftertaste after what happened at Baylor, people don't really want to discuss that. But I think Coach Pitino is right up there in the top 5 coaches that UNM has ever had. And I think you're right. We were lucky to have him here. You know, Rob, you covered a lot of great players who have in your years as being the voice. Donovan Dent, who I consider, you know, you go back and look at Petey Gibson and Phil Smith and Kelvin Scarborough, Doris Gary, Daryl McGee. And, you know, it's hard to believe to me that 3 of those guys are no longer with us. Greg Brown. It's hard to believe. It really is. Where do you rank him as far as the all-time Lobos on your list that you've seen since you've been the voice?
Wow. There are 2 that stand out at that position with what they accomplished, what they helped the University of New Mexico accomplish, and the way they played and the way they competed and the way they led. There are only 2 in terms of the guard position and what they did during my tenure as the voice of the Lobos. It starts with K-Dub, Kendall Williams, and then it's Donovan Dent. And we can argue the order all you want. They're both spectacular players in their own way. Dent may be a slightly better table setter. K-Dub certainly a better overall scorer, I would say. But both absolute floor leaders, absolute heartbeat of their teams, and in my opinion, the best player in the conference when they were at their best, bar none. And those are the 2. Ed, if you're talking about guards, since I've been in this position in the 2013-2014 season, those are the 2 guys.
Boy, I'll tell you what fun it was. I still remember Kendall Williams' 45-point game at Colorado State at Moby. He couldn't miss that day. Unbelievable. Had a great game. You know, Rob, Coach Olin, he'll have a completely new roster. He's a new coach with the new system. We interviewed him. Seems unassuming. Not the kind of coach that's going to call a ton of plays. You're not going to see him call sure fist, you know, from the sidelines. He wants trust in the system. What do you think of the hire, and how do you think he'll fare here at UNM?
Wow, I'm so excited. if you like the way contemporary NBA and college basketball is being played, if you enjoy the floor being spread and shots raining down and driving lanes being available for the players who can put it on the wood, you're going to love the way his team plays. And I cannot wait. The idea that he has recruited a roster that truly will allow him to play 4, maybe even 5 out. I want to see it in practice on the court.
Mm-hmm.
You've heard a lot of coaches talk about how they want to play, and he literally had the opportunity to start with 0 and build the roster given what was available in his image. Right now, certainly you don't get exactly what you want every time out the first time, and he will have to craft the way he plays to the skills of his players once he sees them on the court together, and that's going to happen here next month. He'll get him here in June. But think about that. How often does a coach, and it certainly is more possible in today's landscape with the transfer portal and NIL and all the player movement and the unlimited transfers, right? From year to year, players are free agents. But to build your entire roster, like he literally has 13 guys who are going to come together next month to start their summer workouts, and every one of them is brand new to the program. That's unheard of.
Rob, I think the other comment I'm going to make, and I got one more question before I turn it back to Ryan. It's going to be 180 degrees from what Coach Pitino, the style he played, than what Coach Olin has. And I think Lobo fans, you're right. A read and react kind of offense. They're going to spread the floor, shoot threes. He depends on players knowing the system, according to what we've heard. So I think, again, I think it's an exciting time. And you mentioned he still got 2 roster spots. The guy that he signed the other day, I'm excited about that. Saw some film on him. He looks like a good player. I've got one more for you, Rob. And,
22 years old, by the way.
What's that?
That new player, 22 years old.
Yeah, my son was mentioning that to me. But I got to ask you this about my very, very good friend, Lobo legend Hunter Green, who's one of the top Lobos that ever played here. Very good friend. And I think, he's done great things in business here in town. He's, in real estate, he's done great stuff. And but I just got to ask you, how's it been to work games with Lobo legend Hunter Green? How's it been to work with him?
Dream come true. Like literally, you couldn't ask for more in my position to have one of the greatest players in the history of the program, to get a chance to work with him literally side by side. We've been together now 12 years. We've become extremely close friends. You know him well, Ed. He is one of the most magnanimous human beings you'll ever come across. Never puts himself first, and has always been willing to get better at the craft of broadcasting, and never has done that at the expense of his passion and his love for the Lobos, which I think comes out every single time we're on the air together. And I can't wait. Every year I cannot wait to get to November, because it means I get to go on the road with Hunter again, and we get to have these great adventures and share meals together. And you mentioned what an incredibly successful businessman he is. Not a lot of folks are aware of just how smart that man is and how savvy he is, and what an amazing entrepreneur he has become, and what an asset he is to the community of Albuquerque in the state of New Mexico. It's unbelievable that a kid from LA has made his name in business in Albuquerque and in the land of enchantment, and it's really impressive.
Yeah, he's done very well.
Rob, I'm going to ask you about football before we let you go. You had the pleasure of calling games with Donovan Dent. What about Devin Dampier? What was that like calling those games?
Dampier is a special player, Ryan. I'm so sad that he's not going to be around any longer. No play was ever over with him. And here's the thing, and Lobo fans can remember, because it's the most recent success that Lobo football has had. If you go back to the Lamar Jordan era, when he was the starting quarterback for the University of New Mexico. I can remember the first signature play of his career was in Cruces on the turf at Aggie Memorial. He had a local superstar from Cleveland, Reese White, on a broken play, rolling out to his right, throwing White open in the end zone to beat the Aggies down there. That was when he was a redshirt freshman. He did not have many of those highlights throwing the football. And in fact, most of his career, he shared the signal calling with Austin Apodaca. And that's because he was an incredible runner in a system that was designed to put him in position to do damage on the ground. But when the Lobos wanted to change pace and wanted to throw the football, Double A came in. We got to see a player last year in Devin Dampier who was both in one package. The incredible arm strength, could make any throw, could do it on script, off script, from the pocket, on the run, moving to his left, moving to his right. And that doesn't even begin to scratch the surface of the impact that he had on a game. We're talking about a 1,000-yard rusher. From the quarterback position, the Lobos had 2,000-yard rushers for the first time since Gibson and Owens. So, Devin Dampier, those are going to be some of the best memories that I'll have as the voice of the Lobos when it comes to football, regardless of how long I'm in that chair, because that's how good he was.
I forgot. Did you call the Washington State game, or were you in New York?
I was in New York.
That's right. Okay,
I was watching that game and pulling for the cherry and silver the whole time.
I was in New Jersey. Of course, I was going to that game, and I fell asleep. And I also had money on BYU. So I woke up to BYU blowing it and Washington State blowing it. And I was like, I had text messages, and then I had to be on a train to New York because the game was at noon Eastern and I wanted to be there. It was just a shocking revelation that night. As much as I love college basketball, I would have loved to have been at that game. I was so mind blown that I woke up and they had come back and won.
I wish I had a clone, and that was one of the days where I wish I had a clone most. Yeah, if I could have been in two places at once. Oh,
yeah, I was bummed. I looked back on it, and but you're talking to a New York Knicks fan who wasn't going to turn up to cover a game in the Garden, and I shan't talk about. I'm waiting for the comments to roll in. Although we're not. It's not a plethora of listeners giving me crap about the Knicks. It's probably mostly Laker fans. Anyway, moving on from that. I don't think I don't want to harp on Bronco Mendenhall. So I'm going to go to this question because I think last year, I think there was a reality that football team could have been, coulda, woulda, shoulda, could have been 10-2 or 9-3. You look back at the games and you just felt, there was Wyoming, Hawaii. It was still a really exciting season. Looking forward, I'm not trying to use that analogy again, the breath of fresh air, but I just have absolutely loved Jason Eck's approach, and people have to write that down, or I said that on record. What have you thought of Coach Eck thus far? I think it's been a phenomenal job in now going on 6 months.
We just taped our first podcast. I am so pumped to get a chance to work with Coach Eck. He is every man, literally as comfortable sitting next to him as your best friend. That's how he makes you feel. It is a remarkable change from a very tunnel-visioned Coach Mendenhall that did not have the social acumen that Coach Eck does. And that's okay. Like, everybody's different. But to see what he's already done in the community since he arrived, the first time he posted from campus blew my mind. We haven't seen that from a head football coach at the University of New Mexico. Just the way that he has approached this job and the way that he has embraced this community and wrapped his arm around everybody, that really says a lot to me, because this isn't his home. And it's not Danny Gonzalez coming in as the favorite son, former Lobo, and taking that job. as a first head coaching job. This is a guy who's moving up from FCS to FBS and undertaking a very difficult job where he is turning over maybe 60 guys on the roster, somewhere in that neighborhood, which is going to happen with the coaching change. But now you're talking about 3 coaches in 3 years. That's really hard. And his disposition is perfect for dealing with that kind of difficult. I loved the first podcast with him. I cannot wait for the first press conference to come in the fall ahead of the opener, when the Lobos obviously are going to go to the big house. And interviewing Coach Eck is something I'm really looking forward to. And I just know that the fans are going to absolutely love him, and make sure to just have a little patience. I know that he thinks that he can take this team to a bowl game, and he wants you to leave some open availability, some dates on your calendar for December, but just have a little bit of patience, because he has already shown he can turn programs around, and I believe he's going to do it here at UNM.
This is going to be my 3rd year in a row going to Mountain West Conference Football Media Days, and I can't wait for it. And to piggyback off this, Rob, and I appreciate your time tonight. We've only got 2 more questions for you. Guys like Dimitri Johnson and Gabe Lopez who came back. I mean, I think of them, and then Richard Pierce. I mean, I think that sort of speaks volumes to maybe Eck. You knew people were going to leave, though, but I think to have those 3 components back, and I think I think the defense is going to be much better. So I'm hoping that, those guys, veterans like that coming back will help. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that.
I think that's a great point. Some foundational guys, right? And one of the captains. So huge piece of the offensive line, which is enormous. And let's talk about that for just a second, because, the name Scott Trey Humphrey has been thrown out there a lot, and everybody saw what he did during spring, and he's going to have an amazing season. I have no doubt. And he is a top flight back. The reason that New Mexico's offense turned a corner 2 years ago, remember, this is 2 years now of UNM's offense being high octane, highly productive, really exciting. The reason, back-to-back seasons with quality offensive lines. I feel like Coach Gonzalez's final team, that O-line was excellent. Last year, the O-line, I think, was just as good. And guess what our coach knows best in 2025? Our new head coach is an offensive lineman. I fully expect this team to be a bunch of road graders, and they're going to be multiple backs. They're going to be running just roughshod over teams at University Stadium this year. And that's going to be the foundational piece of this team, the offensive line and the running game. And they will throw off of that because they will be able to have success running the ball.
Yeah, I knew he was an offensive lineman. I was like, they're going to run the ball. They're going to run the damn ball. How can Lobo fans best support what is the football team? And, I was impressed with the turnout at the baseball games the last couple of weeks. I thought that was a great turnout. But how do you, I'll just make this question simple. When we've asked this, how do you make the Pit back? I remember the Rocky Long days. You couldn't walk to the bathroom. I use that analogy a lot. How do you get the Pit vibe over to University Stadium?
Buy a ticket. You got to buy a ticket. You got to get in there first. And I know it's hard. Like, think about the things that we've undergone with the advancement in technology here over the last 2 decades. Let's just shorten it up to the last 2 decades. It's really difficult to be an early adopter, right? It's hard to be one of those people that grabs the beta off the shelf and invests the money and the resources and the time to figure out how it works and see if you like it. It's much easier to wait for somebody else to try it out first. And then once you know it's okay, then you dive in. At some point, we just have to take that leap, make that jump, and get behind Lobo football, and not just that great 12 to 15,000 fans that we know we're going to get every single time out, but jump in head first into the deep end and take that leap of faith. I mean, you have this history of success at the Pit that gives you the feeling that it can happen at any time. You just mentioned what it was like in the salad days under Coach Long. We've seen it at University Stadium. It can happen. And Lobo Nation made it happen. It didn't just happen because of the success on the field. That was the fan base getting behind that team, that coach, and their community in that time, in that moment, right? The Lobos had back-to-back bowl games since then, even won one of them. Those bowl games were well attended. The regular seasons were not. So it's not just a winning product on the field that Lobo Nation is yearning for. It's that feeling that they get in the Pit, and they create it for each other. They do it together. And at some point, you just have to take the leap. And I strongly encourage it to be this year. Coach Eck and the team need you.
It's funny that you bring that up because, you know, when you walked into the UNLV game, the basketball game, the last regular season game, you just knew it. You know, it was like, this is a championship type night. And I even said it. I told my buddies, and one of my good friends, Mike Mata, has worked for Steve Alford as a manager. And I saw him at the game and I was like, it feels different in here tonight. I'm going to throw it over to Ed for our last question. Rob, I can't thank enough for your time tonight. I'll say that a million times.
Rob, you've been a great ambassador, man, on the program, and your enthusiasm for Lobo sports is contagious, man. You know, especially about Coach Eck. The Lobo up thing cracks me up. You know, he's got me doing that already. I mean, I was like, where did that come from? But you mentioned
that's Coach Eck, right?
Yeah,
it's awesome.
Yeah, I'm already a big fan of that. But you mentioned Coach Mendenhall is different. He's different. Coach Mendenhall, no doubt, he could coach football. There's nobody's questioning that. Maybe not the most social guy, and I think Coach Eck is definitely the social guy. And you know, he's built programs, and we're excited to have him here. But Rob, you know, you've mentioned some exciting things happening around Lobo athletics, a plethora of things you've mentioned. To you, what's the most exciting development in Lobo athletics right now?
Oh gosh, there's no doubt that it's the new leadership. I think that, and the previous leadership at the University of New Mexico did great things. That's undeniable. The Eddie Nunez, Dave Williams partnership brought Richard Pitino to Albuquerque, New Mexico, and brought two basketball championships to New Mexico. And that hadn't happened since the 2013-2014 season. That was the last time that the Lobos hoisted a trophy. We know basketball is king, right, here in Albuquerque. But it was time. It was time. You knew that Eddie had designs on moving to a Power 4 school, and congratulations to him. And his team went to the Final Four and went to the final. And that's amazing. And Dave's right there riding with him. Well, it was time for New Mexico to make a change as well. They had done what they came here to do, and now you have the youth movement at the University of New Mexico. And it's time for Lobo fans to get behind that new leadership. And you know what? The momentum is there. Like, I'll just pick one little recent small example. The Lobo Club puts on its golf tournament, its annual fundraiser golf tournament every year. This one was record setting. The department has so much momentum right now, and I cannot wait to see where this leadership takes the department, because I'm confident that it's going to the next level, guys. And I hope the fans start jumping on board this fall.
Well, Rob, I told you I would only keep you close to 30 minutes if you were talking, and I tried to keep you to that. It's the voice of Lobos, Mr. Rob Portnoy. Again, I can't thank you enough. I really appreciate when I saw you at the baseball game. I was like, we need to get you back on. You were like, anytime. And then I wanted to wait until you got back from Mesa. So I hit you up. But I can't thank you enough for your time tonight, making 30 minutes for, at least as I say, our rink-eating show on a Tuesday night.
No, I want to follow up. Thank you so much for having me. My pleasure coming on. Thanks for asking me. And I wanted to say this, Ryan, because you did something that's really hard to do. And Ed, thank you so much for for jumping on board with Ryan and for what you guys are doing, because it's really hard to step out on a limb by yourself and start something from scratch. And you did that. And it hasn't been the smooth road the entire way, but that nothing ever is. Nothing that's worth doing is ever easy. And the path always has some curves and twists and turns. And you've stuck through all of it. And you're an accredited member of the media now. Like, you're traveling with the Lobos to the best events. And I can remember at the start, it wasn't like that for you. And I thank you so much for staying the course, for your perseverance, for your passion, for your commitment. And keep covering University of New Mexico athletics the way that you're doing. And thanks so much for having me, Ryan.
I really appreciate that. It means a lot. This hasn't been easy, and this is to much a credit. This is my old bedroom, which is now a multi-office makeshift studio.
It's a darn good studio.
I try, even though when we do have a lot of listeners, I think it's the dog days of summer. Not that, I get a lot of the crap for not rooting for said team in Texas, and that the team I root for has the NY, which stands for next year on it. But Rob, that's a terrible joke. Rob, I can't thank you enough. I'll see you at press conferences. It was a pleasure tonight. Thank you so much.
Great being with you guys. Keep up the good work, and thanks for having me.
Thanks, Rob.
All right, that was Rob Portnoy, voice of the University of New Mexico Athletic Department. I really appreciated his time. I've been trying to bug him for some time now to get him on. And Ed, you were kind of the guy who put the seed in my head to have him on again. And I thought, well, I'll wait to the end of the year, and then we get the news of the 6 championships today. And I thought, I'll be damned. It was a good guest tonight.
You know what? He's, like I said, a great ambassador for Lobo athletics. He's proud of where they are and where they're going. Always speaks positively. He's been a voice since 12 years now. And I will say he's right that sometimes the things that we start, and you and Eric Molson started that and asked me and Jacob Neff and my son to join. And I know speaking for my son and I, we're very, very happy to be a part of it. But I got to say that where it's at now and where it's going, and that people are asking to be on your platform or our platform, I think is pretty darn good about the road we're taking now. So yeah, things start out, sometimes they're not the smoothest. And in this market here, Jeff and JJ had show for a long time. Joe O'Neill at 1017, Henry Tafoya had started things at 1150. So, I got to tell you that, I work for ProView Networks. We cover high school and college. So, for me, I'm happy with where we're going and, what you've started and where, and how it's been building momentum, and it's only going to get better. So Robert's right about that. Sometimes things don't always start out smoothly, but as far as where we're at right now, hey, I'm pretty happy with it. I know you and Eric have different business discussions that you have to tend to, but I think we're doing very, very well, I think.
And I'm trying to preface this as PG as I can, given that we just got from Rob, and then hopefully Tanner Montoya is joining us. He hasn't logged on yet.
He was waiting for me to tell him. I'm going to tell him real quick.
Oh, perfect. That gives us a chance for
You're going to take a break too, right?
Yeah, we'll be taking a break. Not trying to stroke each other's ego here because it drives me bonkers. But I have to give Eric his due. I mean, we wouldn't be here without Eric. I said this last Tuesday before I got sick. Eric is the brains behind this. Eric is the reason Affordable Solar is with us. Eric is the reason Capital Ford is with us. I know a lot of people think I'm on here just to say things. Nope. I have a relationship going back to 2008 with the UNM athletic department. So, I'm not here to harp on that on every show. As I mentioned, Rick left us. Rick wasn't happy with the vision. And he foresaw it. We aren't here without Rick. Jacob Neff has joined us. Jacob, and I say this, Jacob is a plethora of knowledge when it comes to baseball prospects and college basketball. And he's got the gambling background with his uncle. He's still with us. He just can't join us as much. And then Ed, quickly, I'm not trying to cut it short. You and Nick, we wouldn't be here where we are without everybody involved. So there's not much I can say to that. I can't thank you guys enough, especially with our next guest, Ed. That's all you. So we're going to take a quick break. I want to thank Rob Portnoy, the voice of Lobos, again. My name's Ryan, and this is the Pit Press Live. Quick commercial break. We'll be back with La Cueva star Tanner Montaño. Make sure I didn't say Montoya because I was dealing with somebody that was a Montoya today. Make sure I get his name right. Tanner Montaño, La Cueva track and field star. Ed will be conducting most of that interview. Looking forward to that because of the record he tied. So we'll be right back. Again, my name is Ryan Tamori. For Ed Nunez, this is the Pit Press Live.
At a time when every dollar counts, Capital Ford in Santa Fe is stepping up and offering employee pricing for everyone. Yes, employee pricing for everyone is now available on new Fords. You pay what Ford employees pay. Employee pricing means save up to $9,000 off MSRP on a new 25 Ford F-150 or save up to $4,800 off plus 3.9% APR on a new 24 Ford Bronco. From America, for America. We're Capital Ford in Santa Fe.
All right, welcome back to the Pit Press Live. I want to thank Rob Portnoy again. Well, Ed, the Mets made the NLCS last year. They beat Philly along the way. The Knicks are down 10 with about 30 seconds to go. It's going to be 3-1. They beat Boston along the way. So I can't really complain. I thought game one was too big of a gut punch. And it was reminiscent of Reggie Miller. And by the way, the Pacers didn't win that series where he did the infamous choke. The Knicks came back and won that series. So throwing that back, what is that, 94? The Knicks ended up winning the East that year. But I'm going to be quite honest with you, and I shoot it to you straight for how many people are listening. I don't watch much NBA. I was enthralled with this pro season, mainly because there was no Warriors. There were no Lakers. The Celtics were gone, and I'm a Knicks fan, so I was a little rejuvenated. And I'll make this very quick. Regardless if this goes 5, this Knicks Pacer series was pretty damn good. I don't know how you feel about that.
You know what? You're a Knicks fan. I've got a friend that I played in high school against. He's from New York, and I always text him after every game. New York. Fill it in. So he'll give me his assessment. And I think you're right. That game one, I told my wife this. Mentally speaking, it's hard. You were up by 14, and they had said that teams that were up by 14 with such and such time left were 994 and 0. And Neesmith Aaron Neesmith went nuts. He's not Reggie Miller, but the shots he was hitting were incredible. So that hurt. And then they took game 2 in Madison Square Garden. New York rebounded to win. They were behind by 20 points and came back to win. And I thought, hey, give them credit. But I'm going to tell you this, and I told my wife and my son, Indiana is much better than I thought they were, and they have a legitimate chance to win it all. They really do. But you look at Brunson now for your team, Brunson and Karl Anthony Towns, Bridges. I like this team for the future. Josh Hart, I think they'll be contenders as long as they keep that core together. They might need another big rebounder to go along with Cat and maybe another defensive guy. But I think I still think they're a good team. I do. Look how far they came, and beating Boston was no small achievement. Tatum did get hurt, but they beat them. They beat them, and back in the 70s, man, they used to have some battles. So it kind of reminded me of that when Boston had Havlicek and Cowens, and New York had Willis Reed and Walt Frazier and Earl Monroe. So it was good to see New York compete again. It's good to see Spike Lee out there. So I'm glad that they competed. It's not over yet. It is going to be 3-1, and that's tough to come back from. But it's not over. It's not over quite yet. But Indiana, believe me, is a much better team than we thought they were.
I think they're a really good team, and I think they can give. It's probably going to be the Thunder. They're probably going to give them a really good series. I think they are. I would probably pick the Pacers. But Ed, I just want to tell you something. You texted me Wednesday night before I fell under the weather. And you said pulling away now. And I responded, it's not over. Laugh out loud. And then I said that should do it. And then I said, never mind. And I don't like to say this because I went into the media and I tried to be objective. That is being a Knicks and that is being a Mets fan. All right. I'm going to throw it over to you for our next guest. And I'm very excited to have him on. Ed, the floor is yours.
Our next guest is La Cueva track and field athlete, also football player, Tanner Montaño. Tanner, 2 weeks ago, jumped 24 feet in the long jump and 3 1/4 inches to tie a record that had been held by Highlands' David Podrell since 1970. And, Tanner, you're also a heck of a football player for La Cueva. And I had a chance to interview you about a year or so ago on 99.9 FM on the radio. So, first of all, congratulations and welcome to the show.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for having me.
Tanner, what an unbelievable, it's been close. Now, there's a couple of things here. Highlands, Gary Sanchez, who's a track and field guru in the New Mexico Sports Hall of Fame and in our Highland Hall of Fame. So I asked him, why is this record stood for 55 years, man? 55 years. And he told me plenty of good jumpers during that time, but, can't be wind aided. It cannot be wind aided, right? Can't be wind aided. He told me too, and I have all the respect in the world for Gary, that it depends too. You did a number of events that day. So that he told me it depends sometimes if you jump in the morning or in the afternoon. There's a lot of factors that go into this because you figure that, hey, that's, David Podrell, you guys talked, we'll get into that in a minute. He was there at the track meet. But tell us about how that felt, man, to tie that record because, your coach, I'll get to him later, thinks that, you've got your best is yet to come. But tell us how it felt to tie that record, that it stood for 55 years.
It felt so good. If it was something that I was looking to do for so long, I had a paper that was taped to my wall that it was just a little part out of the article that Yotis had made, I think 5 years ago, that it was the 50th anniversary. And I just had the part, it said it was the longest state record by 13 years. And I thought I could have got it my freshman year, and I came short. And I'm pretty sure I would have got it my sophomore year, but I was hurt. And then to be able to come back to where I was before and to tie it, it was just a really cool moment. I'm very grateful for it.
Talk about how, what were the weather conditions sometimes? And it can't be wind aided, right? It cannot be wind aided. It wasn't. But how did you feel approaching that? Again, you tied that record. You also won the 100-meter yard dash, got second in the 4x1 and 4x2 relays, and took third and the 200. You had a busy day, man. You had a busy day, and as I mentioned, even since I've seen you, your face is filled up, man. You're definitely growing and maturing into a great young man. How did you feel? I mean, on your approach on the tie-breaking jump, how did you feel?
I felt good. I felt good that week leading up to it, and then in the morning. And I was lucky to where it was the first thing I did. So all of my running events were all after. I had 4 prelims that I ran after that race, and then the next day I had 4 finals that I ran. So I was lucky that long jump was before, because if it was in between, I don't know if I would have ended up getting it. So,
I'll tell you what, David Podrell, and we talked to David last year when I'm the chairperson. I told you, the Highland Hall of Fame, and he's a man of few words, man. When we called him that he made the Hall of Fame, he wouldn't always call back. But that day that he got inducted, he had a lot to say. It was an emotional moment for him. I read in the paper about what he said to you. You convey it. Tell us what he said.
So honestly, I'd heard that he was going to be there, and I'd never seen him before. I've heard so many stories about him, never seen him. And then I did my last jump. I scratched, and I was walking back, and everyone was like, Tanner, and called me over, and I went and I saw him, shook hands with him. And then it was kind of like a blur, because I'd never experienced, there was like 5 cameras around me. I felt like I was like famous and everyone was watching. But I know he said just to fix one little thing about my jump and I'll be at 25. And he told me to not shoot for just the record, but to shoot for 25. And it was just a really cool moment that it was just an honor, honestly.
It's kind of so he was there, and so he suggested something to fix, and you'll get 25.
Yeah, he was telling me to keep my lead knee as soon as I come off the board, just bring that higher and hold it for longer. And then actually literally on Sunday, me and my coach, who had talked to him as well that day, we were just working on that for about an hour and a half. So I'm really gonna try to get that down and see if he was right.
I think that's great, though. And a lot of people would think that and think about David Podrell. 1970. He's old, this and that. That guy held that record for 55 years, man. 55. That to me is, like I said, we've seen records broken, and that one there's been talked about. You mentioned you had an article from James Yotis, and he's written about it periodically about the record. And we were surprised. I can't say I was too surprised when it was you, because you've done some amazing things already on the track. And Coach Valencia, your track coach, right?
Yeah.
He was nice enough to tell me this. Everything Tanner's accomplished on the track has been earned. He's a hard worker that practices with purpose. He never just goes through the motions. Everything he does to make himself ready for meet day. Tying the state record this past weekend is only going to fuel him for more next season. He's not done yet. He's going 25 next year, man. So, and I don't know that this moment has quite hit you. You're what, 17?
Yep.
Okay, and it's okay. It's all right. All these people, like you said, you got cameras in your face. All right, and it's a huge accomplishment. But right now you're in the moment, trying to get better. I had a chance to talk to your dad, Trent. What a good man. I had a really nice talk with him, and I'm sure everybody is just really proud of you. What was your family's reaction to this record? Your friends and your fellow track athletes. What did they? Because it was headline news, man. It's on the front page, not the sports page. Yeah. My wife had to tell me, honey, it's on the front page. So what was your teammates' reaction and the track people that you've talked to?
So I would say personally, probably for my family, especially my parents, and for myself, it was more of relief, because there's definitely nerves there and not knowing if I would break it or not. I think I talked about it so much that I feel like my teammates weren't really like surprised, but they're obviously happy for me. But the amount of support I've gotten just from people that I've met from wherever. I've gotten so much support, so many congratulations. It's just I'm very happy, very thankful for it.
I think there's a lot of people rooting for you, man. You're a humble young man. You are. You're an outstanding athlete. Certainly, there's some confidence and swag there. But anytime I've ever talked to you, you've got quiet confidence, I'd call it. I got a quote here from your quarterback, man. I reached out to Cam Dyer, and who
Right.
outstanding, one of the best athletes we've ever seen here in the state of New Mexico. And he just tore. He had a knee problem. Still tried to play through that in the state championship. Torn ACL. And that kid's a gamer, man. He's a gamer. He's at ASU now. His quote about you, I would say the thing that sets Tanner apart is his passion for track. You can tell that he has a real love for the sport and a passion for running. A lot of guys don't like much the thought of running or practicing to do a race that only lasts a short amount of time. From competing against him and practicing with him, I can tell that he truly enjoys what he's doing. Him getting injured last year was tough on him, but him bouncing back this year and showing everybody what he's capable of shows what kind of person he is. His speed and relentlessness ultimately translates to the football field. Glad to watch him on his journey to be great. And I think the world of that kid. I do. He comes from good people, man. He's good young man, and that's what he thinks of you. And I think you and him competing and other La Cueva, iron sharpens iron, man. You see that guy, and they had an article about him in the paper, 2 years ago, running steps, literally getting sick, and still working through that. So that's got to help you as an athlete too, as far as watching him play or watching him compete.
Yeah, for sure. Competing with him for the last 3 years, he's just one of those guys that you could tell he really wants it, and he's going to compete. He's going to be there. And really in track, especially in those track workouts, it comes down to who really wants to get better. And he would always be pushing me. It would be me and him in the workouts, and also my cousin Cruz Markham, who graduated last year. It would be us three, and we would just push each other and just take each other to that next level. Sorry.
Talk about you're a heck of a football player. La Cueva coming up a little bit short this year, losing to Cleveland, but you've been part of a state championship. You mentioned you got hurt. Talk about how track has helped you. You're a wide receiver, come in and out of breaks, be more explosive, one-on-one battles, 50-50 balls in the air. Talk about how track has improved your skills as a wide receiver.
So much. I think everyone knows speed kills, and obviously as a deep threat it helps me very much. But I would say more so, defenses and corners are aware of my speed, and they might go a little too far back, and that opens up the rest of my game. It just complements it super well. Like I said, everyone knows speed kills. It'll help anyone to run track, and it'll translate to the football field for sure.
Now you got one more year to play, and La Cueva's school season just ended. What are your plans? You're going to run in some meets. I think your club coach Jorge Gaxiola he's still coaching your club, so you're going to. In fact, Coach Sanchez said that you're going to have a chance to break that record in other meets. You're going to be running. What are your plans for the summer besides getting ready for football next year? What are your plans as far as track and field this summer?
Yeah, so I'm running the Great Southwest, which is here at UNM in 2 weeks. Yeah, 2 weeks from now, it's a huge high school meet. A bunch of kids from Texas, Arizona, California, Nevada, all around. They come. It'll be a super competitive meet. And then 2 weeks after that, I'll go out to Eugene, Oregon at Oregon University for Nike Nationals. And that's really like it'll be the biggest stage for my season. That's kind of like the finale. So.
Hey man, it's exciting stuff, man. That's going to be great. And then of course you'll be suiting up again next season for La Cueva football, and that will be here. What is it? May, June, July, August. That's 3 months, man. That's 3 months, and 2 days start in July. So you're going to have a very busy summer, and we're looking forward to following you. And we sure appreciate. Ryan, do you have any questions for Tanner?
Yeah. Sorry about I know you've received tons of congratulations. So here's another schmuck congratulating you. Congratulations on tying that record. And I'm sorry you had, maybe I'm more sorry you had to listen to me bitch about the Knicks and Mets. Yeah, now I'm starting to show my age there, Ed. And my name's Ryan. I own the company, so sorry about that. I was going to ask, I'm going to be a generic media guy. Who do you formulate? I asked this softball question to everybody. Who do you formulate your wide receiver game after? Anybody you like? Anybody past, present, future that you like?
That's hard. Definitely route running. Justin Jefferson, Stephon Diggs. Especially, I'm a Vikings fan, so them two for sure. I definitely love their games, but that's about it. I wouldn't say I like study anyone. I'm like, yeah, I need to be like him. I just kind of do my workouts, try to be the best version of me.
No, I appreciate that answer. I had to throw some question out there, but I appreciate you joining us, man. Congratulations. I'm going to throw it back to Ed.
Tanner, once again, man.
Thank you, sir.
Again, thanks so much for joining us. You're going to have a big, man. Enjoy it, kid, because it goes so quick. Enjoy it all. I always say, drink up every moment, man. You deserve it. You put the work in. You got a fantastic attitude, and your parents have to be great people too, man. It doesn't come. It comes from somewhere. It really does. And you present yourself well. And like I said, there's a quiet confidence about you, not an overbearing cockiness. And some people are like that. There's room for that too, man. Everybody's different.
For sure.
But I like your approach. So we can't thank you enough for joining us tonight, and we wish you the best of luck down the way.
Thank you, sir. I really appreciate it.
You bet.
All right, that was Tanner Montaño. Ed, thank you very much for having him on.
Now, I'll tell you one thing. I talked to him about summer ago or so, and same kid. Appreciative of people. Some kids are really cocky and they don't. They have that attitude. And like I said, I understand some of that, but this young man is just a fabulous. He's man. Think about what he said about speed. Those cornerbacks know that he's fast. They back off. The kid could jump. He can run. He can run probably any pattern there is, crossing, a go route, deep seamer. He's a nightmare. Can you imagine trying to cover that kid, man? And then, like I said, he's only going to get bigger and better and stronger and faster. So he's a nightmare. And La Cueva with Cam Dyer last year, before he got hurt, they were ringing up some points. Cam Dyer, and we had him on Road to the Pit last summer, and he's at Arizona State now, and he's gonna do real well there.
Yeah, Heinz Word. I see Tanner's still on with us before he logs off. I was the one who got sick and had to push the interview back, so thank you. No, I thought it was great that we had him on. I mean, it's something I don't know a lot about, and I'm very candid with it. I don't watch a lot of New Mexico high school sports, but I was aware of that, so that was pretty cool. I thought that was a great guest, so much appreciated on that, Ed. I would imagine he's probably got speed to go D1. I don't know. That's just my, there's no
that's
doubt.
My assumption. I just don't know what he's going to do, if it's going to be track or football. But again, I didn't even ask him about his GPA. I'm sure I should have asked him, but I forgot about that. But he's part of a successful, La Cueva football and track team. And I think Wisconsin was looking at him. I hope New Mexico looks at him. But he's definitely going somewhere. He's going to get some offers for sure.
No, between Rob Portnoy and that tonight, I really appreciated it. I enjoy those interviews, but that's the journalist in me. So let's wrap this thing up. I'm running out of steam because whatever the hell I got on Wednesday night, Thursday transpired with me through the holiday weekend. So kind of sucked. Ed, I'm going to go to the comments and I'll get your final thoughts. John Romero, was it Ronnie Lucero? And Ronnie, I don't know if you're watching. Yeah, mention if I remembered the 99 Knicks before we get there. And I'm not trying to talk about the Knicks the whole night. My favorite player, now it's the 90s coming out in me, Ed. Now you know which decade I grew up in, which decade I was born in. As much as I was a Knicks fan, but I loved the Bulls. I did. It never, I think I enjoyed seeing them beat the Jazz as I got a little bit older. Two of my favorite players, Sean Kemp. Looks like I lost Ed real quick. Sean Kemp and then Larry Johnson, Grandmama. I have that. I have his UNLV jerseys. Absolutely loved it. So Ronnie, if you're watching, that was that. Gonna go back to Ed. Ed, can you hear me? I don't think so. I think I lost him. He was having PC trouble, so he was on his wife's iPad. John Romero. Hi, Mr. Portnoy. Thank you for being a guest. I'm trying to get Ed Nunez to become a solid NMSU Aggie fan. You're my next project. Love your announcing. Thanks for the dedication. Kino, what's up, man? Y'all keep it up. You guys are building something great. Probably from the sounds of it, you know I've been busy, and then I got sick again. John Romero, Tanner, you are one heck of an athlete, to say the least. You are an NM sports legend. Keep adding to the resume and sports accolades. Wish you only the best. Sort of brought that up. Sorry for taking from Tanner's shiny moment. We want to share Corbin Combs from Oregon High School broke the 4-minute mile high school for the first time ever in the state of New Mexico. John Romero this past week in Corbin broke that milestone. Eric Markham. Eric, hope you're well. Great job, guys. Awesome interview. Yeah, it looks like I lost Ed. If he hops back on before I end the show, I'll bring him back on. Just a reminder, hey, oh, there he is.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Sorry, Ed. I read some of the comments. I was mentioning how much Ronnie Lucero, because you're the big basketball guy. Ronnie Lucero on Tuesday asked me if I knew about the 99 Knicks and somebody else. And I was like, do I? And I mentioned that's why I have the UNLV Larry Johnson jersey. I have a 47 1990 UNLV Running Rebels hat. And I know this is a UNM centric podcast. I've mentioned this a million times. I love the history of shit. And Larry Johnson, Grandmama, and Sean Kemp are two of my favorite NBA players of all time. Backtracking to today. I like this Pacers team. Is it painful that they're going to beat the Knicks? Yes. I like this Pacers team. I think they're good enough to beat the Thunder. I do. MVPs, it's an NFL thing. MVPs really don't win titles. Mahomes, before Mahomes, a year or two ago, the last time an NFL MVP had won a title, it was 99. It was Kurt Warner. And it's like a Heisman thing. Heisman winners don't produce well in bowl games. Look at Travis Hunter this year. Reggie Bush, first name that pops in my mind, lost to Texas. But yeah, Ed, that's what I was saying. I loved. I think I'm a big. I love the '90s NBA, and Sean Kemp and Larry Johnson were some of my favorite players.
It's funny. The Knicks one time. Who was it? Alonzo Mourning and Larry Johnson got into a fight, and mostly wild swings, no connection. But then you got Jeff Van Gundy hanging onto the leg of was it Alonzo Mourning, right? It was so funny because Alonzo's trying to kick him off, and that was a real rivalry back in the day with the Knicks and the Heat. A couple of fights, a couple of scrums. I think I still think New York, their better days are ahead. They built a good roster. So I've watched. I told you I've been a fan of the NBA since '72, and I still am. I did see that comment by John Romero about wanting me to be a bigger New Mexico State fan, and as good a friend as John is, that will never, ever happen, ever. But I did have to make a comment on that. Never.
Well, John, I'll go back to myself because I'm selfish. Remember me last year and the year before that, 2023 and 2024. Or 2022 and 2023, New Mexico State was a covering machine for me. 2023, I took them almost every game, and it was the bowl game and the Conference USA Championship game that kind of got me. But during the season, man, in 2023, the Diego Pavia, the year, he was. There's no loyalty in money there. He was a covering. They were Jerry Kill and them covered. Now they got, like I said, they got me in Conference USA and the New Mexico Bowl. But damn, man, they were fun to watch, and they were hard nosed. And Ed, I texted you once during that 2023 season, Jerry Kill, they were about to win the game, but one of his defensive backs got a boneheaded penalty, and he didn't care. He got in his face, and it was bleep this, bleep. I mean, you know, read between the lines, bleep this, bleep that. And I did say that about Bronco Mendenhall. I thought they were trying to match what Jerry Kill was doing down at Cruces. Now we've got Jason Eck and Tony Sanchez. But any final thoughts, Ed? I'm sorry, I'm running out of gas tonight. Thursday night, Gary Herron, former sports editor at the Rio Rancho Observer, wrote a book on the Pit.
He did.
I don't think he wrote the Don Perkins book. I think that was somebody
He
else.
don't know somebody else. No, it wasn't Gary.
Yeah, he's going to join us to talk baseball. And then I was supposed to have Nate Strong on, who works for the University of New Mexico Athletic Department. I know the guy personally. He's great. He's funny. I had to cancel on him. I shot him a text. I'm hoping to get him on. And then I'll do some house cleaning before we get out of here. Ed, any final thoughts?
No, I think again getting Robert Portnoy on again was a good deal. He represents UNM well. He loves the Lobos as the voice should. I've got love for Western when I'm down there, but I'm a Lobo. When I'm down there, I want them to win. I do, but I'm a Lobo first and a Mustang second as far as sports. But Robert, I thought, is a great ambassador and talked so highly of what Fernando Lobo, and he's excited about Jason Eck and excited about Eric Ullman. He's looking forward to the future, and it's hard not to buy into that enthusiasm. So I thought he was a great guest.
Well, hell, it's made a believer out of me. So that that says a lot. Yeah, I want to thank Rob Portnoy, and I want to thank oh, I closed the slide down. Yeah, I want to thank Tanner Montaño. Ed, I always appreciate, like I said, we all bring different things. I've appreciated the guests you've landed. We wouldn't be anywhere without the high school guests, without you, without Nick, and the Lobo basketball players. If you go back to our YouTube channel, the Pit Press, NM, Royce Only, Lamont Long, I think is probably no disrespect to Dontrell Moore and Daniel Ferris, as I always say. Lamont Long is up there. Was a very candid interview. We did that back in March.
He really enjoyed it too. He really did.
Yeah, well, we might have to have him on again. I need to hit up, I haven't talked to in a while, just because I've gotten busy in the basketball season, and I need to hit up George Scott. We need to have George on. Maybe I'll ask George to come on Thursday night. And then Phil McDonald. I haven't spoken to Phil in a while, but I know that he had surgery, so I might need to shoot him a text. But appreciate those guys. They have not left us. They're still here. George even wrote an editorial for us that's on our website. But again, looking to the future, I'm going to plug the Pit Press Plus. We will get that rolling. Again, we've been busy with other stuff. And again, it's $2 a month. Nick's been writing. We will put more behind that wall, especially as we get closer to July with football media days there. Hoping to do more. We are sending a convoy to Mountain West Conference football media days, July 16th and 17th at Circa, my favorite place in the world. In July, I forgot what I was going to say. Nobody can give me shit tonight for how I was feeling. Oh yeah, we're sending a convoy. You are going, Ed. I'm going. Nick's going. Jacob's going. 99% sure Eric's going. So we'll have visual. I know, basketball's a big thing. Football's where it's at, I think. Access to the players. It's just a bigger deal than the basketball media days. I don't know. It's just, it's football, not knocking on college basketball. And then again, Kurt Roth approached us with this. 505 Sports Venture approached us with this. I don't want to forget Mackenzie Bishop. I think he had a baby. So congratulations. We have collaborated for a series called Together We How. And it's an exciting new collaboration between us, the Pit Press, and 505 Sports Venture Foundation. We've teamed up for a virtual summer series lineup of live stream and podcast. More to come. It's centered around UNM athletics. The series will feature interviews with coaches and student athletes, highlight community involvement, and provide viewers an inside look at who they are on and off the field, as well as NIL as an essential part of their experience. Our first guest will still be doing the Pit Press Live Tuesdays and Thursdays. I'm thinking maybe not next Thursday night just because of game 1 of the NBA Finals. I don't know if anybody really cares. I've been very kind to the NFL But next Wednesday night, our first guest is Bo Davidson, who we've already had on. You can go to our YouTube channel and check that out. He is the general manager of the UNM football program. Played at North Texas, was at Memphis. Excited. We've talked to him. We're excited to have him on again and a part of this series. So looking forward to that. And 505 Sports Venture approached us to partner with this. So we are very flattered's not the word, I guess. You're flattered, I think, when somebody attractive hits you up. But I think Eric and I and Ed, I know how you felt. Eric and I are very humbled by this. We want to approach this opportunity as best we can. And I know a lot of people don't like what I have to say on my own show and own platform. But this is really an opportunity for the fans, for UNM alumni to embrace this ever-changing world of college athletics, and learn a lot more. I mean, the athletic department, which I had been yelling at for years now, and the 2.5 years we've been doing this, is to get these people out in front more. And by people, I mean coaches and student athletes, because the majority of the city is probably is UNM alumni and has been to the venue any which way, shape, or form. So I'm rambling Ryan there. So Ed, any other final thoughts from you?
Ryan, great job tonight hosting the show as usual. Thanks for having me on, man. I'm looking forward to Thursday.
No, looking forward to Thursday too. And I was not at my A game tonight, and I was excited to have Rob on, but finally when I hit the go, to start the stream on this, I was like, okay, it's game face, because I was like, bumbling along, and I had an incredibly busy day at work, and usually I'm able to get by that, but not feeling well, not that. Then my mom, won't go into that. It was a long day. So Ed, I appreciate you. We will be back Thursday night. Gary Herron will announce the other lists. And again, look out next Wednesday. Look out for more information on the Together We House series, our partnership with 505 Sports Venture. I'm surprised I didn't get that much crap about the Knicks or Mets. The Mets took 2 or 3 from the Dodgers. Granted, it was in New York. I was waiting for more crap on the Knicks. But anyway, hey, appreciate all the listeners. Rob Portnoy, Tanner Montaño, again, much appreciated to them. For Ed Nunez, Eric Malton, Jacob Neff, Nick Nunez, I'm Ryan Tamori. Please do not do anything that I would do. This has been the Pit Press Live.